Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Baseball is just around the corner, so we think, at least to this point, baseball is just around the corner when it comes to Spring Training 2.0. And I saw an ESPN article that dove into 60 storylines heading into the season, and I want to dive into them. Now, I think it's interesting because baseball is known as this dying sport. Now, I understand that I'm in the minority. I watch 10 o'clock West Coast games on the MLB Network. I watch MLB TV. I have the app where I can watch any out-of-market game. So if it's 10 o'clock at night or it's past 10 o'clock, right, it's midnight and I got nothing to watch, I'm flipping on a West Coast baseball game between, I don't know, the Oakland A's and another squad. I mean, I'm all in when it comes to baseball throughout the summer, and I'm speaking about when it's a normal summer, of course, but I'm all in. So I get that I'm in the minority. But I'm curious if some of these storylines actually hit home to other people, other sports fans outside of myself. Because look, I'll throw number one at you here just so you can get a taste. The first storyline that was mentioned was Mookie Betts in a Dodgers uniform. Baseball is very regional. Most people only care about their specific squad. It's not like football, where in the NFL you have Red Zone and you watch all the out-of-market games. People do that with basketball, TNT games, games on ESPN, ABC on the weekends. People care around the league in the NBA and the NFL. With baseball, it's not like that. So does that storyline pop for most people, or is it just me, the psychopath, that's watching West Coast baseball games out of market every single night? There's a lot of good ones in here, and I'm excited to break it down. Before we do, though, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, Orbit Energy and Power is home to solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. We are talking about $0 electric bills. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They will make sure you receive all the state and federal incentives available for switching to solar. There's no risk and no need for investment. Make sure you check out their information. The link is in the description, their phone number, and their website. So let's dive into this bad boy. I got my printouts. If you've been here for a while, you understand I used to be the notebook guy. The notebook guy that's scribbling on the paper and flipping through my notes. I can't see a damn thing. Can't read my own handwriting. It's hard to kind of see what the hell is going on. So now we go printed out paper. Way easy. Easier. Yeah. All right. Number one. Mookie Betts in a Dodgers uniform. This is an insane story. I can't wait to watch him play in a Dodgers uniform. They give up all those players. They make the trade with Boston. And you got him for 1 year. Knowing that Mookie Betts wanted to hit the free agency market. He wanted to do that. So you're taking a big risk. You are. And before we came to an agreement, I say we as if I'm part of it, but before the union and the owners came to an agreement, it was possible that the Dodgers gave up all those players to get Mookie Betts, and he wouldn't have even played a damn game in the uniform. And then they would have lost him in free agency. Well, not necessarily. There was a chance that maybe they would sign him back to this mega deal. But still, if that happened, that would have been nuts. I think the fact that they made this big splash to get a guy like Mookie Betts, who is a complete stud, may I add, and to only have him for a 60-game sprint, that is so intense. Remember, he's looking for what? $400 million? I know the Dodgers have money. They're in the same ballpark as, not physically the same ballpark, but the same ballpark as in they have a lot of money and bring in and generate a ton of dollars. They're in the same conversation of the Yankees and the Red Sox every single year when it comes to getting big-time players. $400 million, it's craziness. So that storyline for me is one of the most intense storylines there is, based off the fact that You have him as a rental. You gave up pieces to get this rental. The Dodgers are all in to make a World Series run. The coronavirus happens. You don't know there's going to be a 60-game season. Now, it's funny. I was having this conversation with someone I know about how people rip apart the front office, right? And it makes a lot of sense to rip apart their front office in whatever city they're in. Yeah, that's part of being a sports fan. When things go wrong, when things don't work out as planned, you attack the GM, you attack the front office, you attack the manager, coach, whatever the case may be. You would find people in this city of Philadelphia that would destroy the Phillies front office if they made a trade like this and then coronavirus happened. As if anybody would have known. As if it's their fault for not knowing that this would happen and you would have a shortened season and then you're stuck with a potential 60-game run of Mookie Betts and that's all. There would be somehow, some way, there would be people in this city to really fire off at a front office because they should have known. It's crazy. I'm watching Dodgers games just to see Mookie Betts play. That's how strongly I feel about that trade, that storyline, and the entertainment value. The Dodgers have been so close to a World Series. They make this splash to go out and do it. Now, if the Dodgers win, the Yankees win, if the top teams in the league win, this sprint to the World Series, it's viewed differently than if a team like the Phillies win, or a team like the Indians win, or a team like, I don't know, the A's win the World Series. Oh, it only happened because it's 2020. But if the Dodgers or Yankees win, oh, well, they're a great team anyway. They probably would have won. It's so funny how it's viewed based off of who actually hoists the trophy. That's if we even get a trophy hoisted at all. Number 2. I feel like Dr. Evil when I say that. Number 2. Gerrit Cole with the Yankees. That's primetime television, fellas. That's primetime television. See, a lot of people, and I think this is a reason why the sport is kind of going down, they just want to see the action, right? They just want to see all the homers and they want to see the ball in play. And I totally understand that. I see that as an exciting part of the sport. You need that. You need the excitement to get off your seat. Hey, run to second. You know, if the ball's in the gap, hey, get to third, right? You need that. That's the part of the sport. That's it. But you know what else is part of the sport? Domination. Pitching. When you have a pitcher who is on that bump that can strike out 14, who can strike out 15, who can put away guys with a blistering fastball, but also has a disgusting changeup or an off-speed pitch, whoa. And Gerrit Cole is one of those pitchers that just has all of it. He has the bag. And when you watch him on the bump, it's inspiring. They paid a lot of money for this guy. You know how crazy Yankees fans are. See, I'm a beauty of sports guy. You should know this by now. I love the beauty of sports. I don't love the Yankees, but the Yankees is baseball. That's reality. When you think of baseball, you think of the Yankees. You think of the pinstripes. You think of Yankee Stadium, although it's a different stadium now. You think of the logo. So for me, I have them on my TV. Not because I want to see them succeed. Not because I want to see New York win a championship. But because I know that Yankees baseball is baseball. I'm intrigued by how Yankees fans appreciate baseball. How they talk about baseball. See, I love the Phillies. But the fans and the Phillies, it's not what it should be. It's not. Yankees, in the summertime, they're freaking out about Game 42. They're freaking out about Game 63. They're freaking out about Game 71. I love that. They're talking about 3-2 counts in the bottom of the third inning. That's the beauty of New York baseball. So when it comes to Gerrit Cole and the big acquisition and another team just like the Dodgers, who they feel as if they're this close to winning a title, they needed that elite pitcher. They needed that superstar pitcher. Well, they got that. So how can you not be intrigued by that storyline? But the game is regionalized. So if you're a Phillies fan, why the hell would you care about the Yankees? I understand. I get it. But I do. I said it. I'm a psychopath. I feel like I'm the oddball. I want to know if this entertains you. If Gerrit Cole is on the mound and he's mowing people down, I'm there. I'm on the couch with the feet up. I'm watching pitch by pitch. I enjoy having Yankees baseball on my television because it just feels like baseball. Even if he's not mowing people down. See, this is why I feel the way I do about it. If he struggles, if he goes 3 innings and somehow has to get yanked because he's off that day, well, how about the reaction afterwards? Oh, Gerrit Cole! He couldn't get the job done against the Boston Red Sox in Fenway? How could we have possibly signed this fool? Right? Those type of reactions, I'm there for it. I want to see it. I'm entertained by it all. The reaction by the New York media over this specific player. And then you got the whole injury side of things. That team has been falling apart. You got Boone as the manager. Is Aaron Judge going to be healthy? Is Stanton going to be healthy? Are they going to have to use 7,000 AAA guys? Are they even going to have access to 7,000 AAA guys? We don't know yet. I'm in on that. I am in on that. And number 3 on this list, this is great. This is phenomenal. Because this is one of the strangest things ever. But it's not at the same time. Mike Trout. Mike Trout is historically one of the greatest baseball players ever. Ever. I'm not talking about, like, for example, I love Bryce Harper. Love that he's here in Philadelphia. His name pops. His name pops. When you think of baseball, Bryce Harper, it's one of the names that always come up. He's got the face for it. When you think of baseball, you think of Bryce Harper. His numbers are not historic. He's a good player in today's baseball, no doubt about it. He gets disrespected, and there's a lot of hate towards him because of the cover of the magazines when he was younger. He's supposed to be this ultimate baseball player ever, and maybe he's not to that level, but he's still a good baseball player. Gets way too much hate. I also think he might be underappreciated, but I digress. Mike Trout is historically one of the best baseball players ever. No one cares. No one gives a damn because he's in a market where no one cares. He's on an organization that never wins. They don't compete. His games start late here on the East Coast. I watch. Most people don't. You just check his stats after game. Oh, he went 3 for 4 with 3 dingers. Oh, he knocked in 5 RBIs last night. You just check in afterwards. You don't watch his ABs like you should. But the Angels did something huge. And they acquired Anthony Rendon. Guy's hitting .319, 126 RBI, 34 homers, 44 doubles. Mike Trout has someone in the lineup who's going to protect them. That's storyline number 3, Anthony Rendon. And I just said, Mike Trout, he's this big name, he's historically phenomenal, and people don't care. Anthony Rendon is so good. He's so good. People don't care. I feel like you walk up and talk about Anthony Rendon, people go, who the hell is Anthony Rendon? And it's a problem with the sport. But the fact that the Angels and Mike Trout just got Rendon, come on! That lineup is insane. It's going to be tough. Have fun pitching around these guys. Now, the problem is, well, what else is on that roster? Yeah, I'm not telling you because they got Trout and Rendon, they're automatically this unbelievable team that no one's going to be able to beat. They definitely need more help. You got to put together more. But they signed a 7-year deal. What was the final numbers on that deal? It doesn't say here. It was a big contract, though. 7 years for Anthony Rendon. I loved it because he got the hell out of Nationals, out of Washington. Get away. Get away. You're too good. I don't even want to think about you. And I hate that this is the conversation that I'm having, right? Like, I'm questioning if these storylines are going to pop for people. Instead, I should know that they will pop for people. And that's the problem with baseball. If we rock through the NFL storylines heading into the year, I wouldn't be questioning if people are excited or at least intrigued by Tom Brady playing in Tampa Bay, or seeing what the Patriots are going to do without Tom Brady, or what the Eagles are going to be like, what Dak Prescott's going to be like, what Joe Burrow will be like in Cincinnati. You know those storylines are going to pop. I'm questioning if these pop for anyone other than the very small minority like myself. It should. Anthony Rendon to the Angels joining Mike Trout would be like Drew Brees getting another big-time weapon. Imagine if Julio Jones joined up with Drew Brees. That might be a little different because the Saints already have a phenomenal football team and the Angels were not a phenomenal baseball team. But I guess you can put it along the lines of, let's see here. I'm trying to think of the best comparison that I could. Because you need a team that's good, but not anything Super Bowl-wise. And the Saints are definitely Super Bowl-wise. All right, I have to think of one here. I'm literally very annoyed with myself that something doesn't come to mind. You got to think of a team that has a good quarterback. I got to. I literally have to figure this out. So we're not moving on until something comes to my mind. We're going to look right now, the NFL divisions. This is how you get sidetracked. Doesn't happen often for me. Seattle. I mean, they're not really a Super Bowl team. Okay, I think that's good. I think I found one. I think we're on to something here. Imagine if, because Seattle 11-5, I understand that Seattle in the NFL is it's definitely better than Mike Trout and the Angels before this trade. But here's the thing. Imagine if Russell Wilson, who I am comparing to Mike Trout in this scenario, got Julio Jones. That is essentially what just happened. And do people care? Do people even know? Do people even remember? That is the scary thing when it comes to this damn sport. And it's a shame because I do miss it. And I don't like the style of play that is today's baseball, but it doesn't rub me off enough to not care about the sport. I don't like... The thing is, analytics are good, numbers are good, but it has just gotten taken to an extreme that has ruined the sport. And it's so number-based, it's so based off equations that it has taken away the beauty of the sport. And it's a shame, and I think people are realizing that, though. I feel as if analytics have gotten so heavy that the people who once supported analytics are now starting to get rubbed off by it, and they're seeing that people are not getting engaged. The problem is that the people who once loved baseball because it was America's pastime, they are definitely fading out when it comes to enjoying the sport. There's no baseball fans that grow up at 6, 7, 8 years old and they fiend baseball the same way as what baseball once was. And I think as that snowball continues, baseball is going to have to do something. I don't know what the answer is. What I mentioned was to get some juice back in the sport, and I don't think it works at all because what saved the sport in the 90s? There was just this documentary on it between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. It was the home runs, the long balls. Well, that doesn't really scream anymore because everyone's hitting homers. Guys are hitting 30 to 50 homers consistently at this point, so it doesn't have the same pop as it once did. So how do you get more excitement in a baseball game? I was thinking, and I don't agree with it, but it's the only thing I can come up with right now is if you ban the shift. Because banning the shift might change the player's philosophy at the plate. Now you can utilize the field differently. the thing is, what made it pop back then was the home runs. You will probably lose home runs, but what you will gain is actually using the field. Maybe more doubles in the gap or just getting a base hit, a single, that type of stuff. You will have more of that. You will have more ball in play, hopefully. Here's where I counter myself sometimes. If they're going to shift everyone to the right side, let's say, for a lefty, and you have the entire third base side wide open, if they're not going to utilize that as an opportunity to get on base, why would they use a normal field without any shift? Why would they use that? Why would they use that? That's where I counter myself a bit. Like I said, I don't think it works, but it's the only thing I could maybe even possibly a little bit think of, and that's the problem baseball has, and I think it will eventually catch up to everyone involved that this isn't working. We need to do something. There's guys like me who will watch no matter what because I do enjoy the sport enough. Even though I'm rubbed off by it, I still enjoy it enough, but there is a problem. Also, though, factor in the money side of things. It is an issue. People are bothered by the sport. People complain about the sport, yet they're bringing in the revenue. They're making an obnoxious amount of money. All these owners are pulling in so much money, and I'm talking about during the normal seasons with fans in the building for all their home games. So if it's that much of an issue, how come they're bringing in more money than ever before? So do they think that there's a serious problem? If they see the income coming in, they might not. There's a lot of question marks behind this sport, and it's a shame because there is a beauty to it, and to an extent, it's getting ruined. And here we are. So number 3 was the protection for Mike Trout. Number 4 was just Mike Trout in general. Think about being that great, right? Your number 3 storyline, your number 3 storyline is Mike Trout has protection, and then your number 4 storyline is Mike Trout in general. So that kind of goes hand in hand. Number 5 is interesting. The Nationals try to repeat as World Series champions. Now, I don't think that this story is as big as the others. I don't. I loved that Washington Nationals story outside of being a Phillies fan. So I didn't like watching the Nationals win the World Series because I don't like them in our division. I don't like them. Take away the sports fan, it's a hell of a story. You have this team that was behind everybody. They were below 500. It was an abysmal season. They lost Bryce Harper. And then what happened? They went on this crazy run. They beat the Dodgers. They beat the Astros. They win the World Series. Howie Kendrick, of all people, being this big beast in the postseason. It was incredible. Juan Soto, from a baseball fan, that was an unreal story. But it seemed as if, and we will see how this plays out, although I do think a 60-game season doesn't tell a full story, it did seem like a miracle ride. And I'm not knocking them for that. The Eagles had a miracle ride. Teams have miracle rides. That doesn't take away from the championship. That season was very special and deserves to get a lot of praise for it. But I don't see the Nationals as this team that now just has this big window of World Series championships every single year. Now, their roster might say different. They have the pitching staff, which you know me, I'm big on the pitching staff. Patrick Corbin, Max Scherzer, Strasburg, Sanchez. How about that for a playoff run? You got guys that you can rely on. Doolittle. Their bullpen was something else, but hey, they made that rotation work with Corbin and things like that. Rotation at times, it was ugly, but they pulled it out. They were always a team that made noise. They weren't able to actually win the series, though. And then they eventually did, of course, and won the whole thing. To me, though, they're that good team. They're a good baseball team. But they're not this powerhouse that I think has this opportunity and this window of just winning titles. So the Nationals try and repeat as world champs. I don't think that has a lot of buzz surrounding it. I think there's just way too much going on for that to be on someone's mind. I think Mookie Betts is a bigger storyline. I think Gerrit Cole is. I think the 60-game season as a whole is. I think the Rendon, like those are bigger storylines. I think that there's some things behind this that also is a bigger storyline. Now, I'm pretty positive here. Here's the opening of the actual article. I don't think that this is ordered, like this is how important each one is, as if one means that it's way more important than 6 or 7. But if you do read the list, the top ones are way more juicy than the rest. So I think to an extent it is, but it's not at the same time. For example, when you go to the 6th storyline, how much will people hate the Astros? To me, that's huge. What is happening with the Astros? They just had one of the biggest cheating scandals in the history of sports. And now you're telling me people aren't going to care? Now you're telling me it's not going to be talked about? I think it will once games come back. I think the broadcast will absolutely talk about it. How will they not when players are going to pump them? You're telling me pitchers are going to forget about that? You're telling me guys on the other team aren't going to throw at Jose Altuve or Springer or any of these other guys? Absolutely they are. Oh, by the way, going back to Gerrit Cole, he was on that team. Now he's on the Yankees. The Yankees despise what happened that year, along with many other teams and many other players. But now he's with the enemy. How is that going to work out in that clubhouse? Another little addition, a subplot that goes on with everything that's happening in New York with that acquisition. But going back to the Houston Astros thing, I mean, come on now. That is a big time problem that occurred in this sport. And you think that's going away? So how much will people hate the Astros? A lot. They literally will absolutely hate them. They're going to get hit left and right every game. And it will not stop being discussed. Right now, it's not being mentioned a lot because around the world, there's way more problems happening. But guess what? When you put the product on the field and you talk about the game of baseball, which will happen. That's what I'm actually enjoying right now, talking baseball itself. When you talk about the game, you're not going to be able to just not talk about that. I'd be shocked if the broadcast teams don't bring it up. Unless they are informed not to, which is also a possibility, because baseball didn't want that. Everything baseball didn't want, it happened, all right. They didn't want a huge cheating scandal. Nobody really does, but they got that. Then they had the COVID negotiations going. They didn't want that. Now you're going to have it again in a couple, year or two down the line. It's going to happen again. Incredible. It really is. Now, there's way more to get to on this list. Way more to get to. Oh, there's some good ones on here. And I think what I'm going to do is stop it here. I think we will get back into this conversation. But not today. Because there's so much. If we went through all 60, I'd be here for 4 hours. I can't wait for baseball to be back. I can't wait to see them in uniform, jogging out on the field, even if it's spring training 2.0. I think spring training 2.0, or at this point summer training, is enough to kind of get the blood going. It's enough to be a little bit more excited, to at least see them throw the baseball around. But there's so much news. You learn more and more every day. The NFL just canceled their Hall of Fame game. Malcolm Jenkins spoke about how he doesn't feel safe and questions a little bit of what's happening with the NFL. You also have the storyline about how some NFL teams might have more fans than others, and I will get into that conversation. You're hearing more and more by the day. This guy tests positive. This team has 7 people positive. This squad had to cancel their camp. That was the Tampa Bay Lightning, but then they reopened 5 days later. There's so much. You never know. It's day by day right now. But I do know once they do get on that field, and baseball is going to try this out, the juices will flow a bit, and storylines will continue to come out when it comes to actual baseball play. And talking sports outside of, hey, this is what the league's trying to do, and this is what the schedule is going to look like, and these are what the new rules are going to be. Talking the product, it's a relief. It really is. It's a relief. And hopefully we can continue this, but there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be bumps and bruises. There's going to be speed bumps. Hopefully these speed bumps aren't enough, though, to stop everything, because I do worry a bit that I'm getting too excited for baseball. There's a possibility that COVID-19 doesn't allow this to continue. And that's the scary part. And I don't want to get too emotionally happy about it and then get hurt again. That's the thing. If we get into this and say we get 5-6 games into the season, it's like, whoa, we're really doing this, fellas. We're really watching a baseball game. And imagine if they got to pull the plug on it. That would be crushing. And that's a concern. Even if they don't even get a couple games in, say they get a couple weeks into training camp, then they got to do it. It would hurt. It would really, really hurt. And I know that's a big concern for leagues, is getting going, getting the ball rolling, and then, we can't do this. And I don't knock them for trying. They got to try. There's just so much happening in Florida, Arizona, Texas. Please, let's make sure that we find a way to actually get the product on the field and make it work. Please, I need baseball. I need baseball. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Remember, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They also can give you a new roof. Backup energy services. There have been storms going around. You need the backup energy service. Water purification systems. Clean, soft, healthy water for your family. They provide so much. Check them out. Their link is in the description and their phone number. Once again, I'll dive more into these storylines because I think they're intriguing. There's a lot to get into. And quite frankly, I love talking the sport of baseball. I miss it. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.